Welcome to Angry Yargle. Hope you're excited. This is basically the red-black chaos deck that came with Magic Arena, but I made a few tweaks to it. But long story short, the core of the deck is to I don't know, just have a ton of fun. So we do have Yargle in here. Where are you, Yargle? So we have Yargle. We're also running two spells that work really well with the Yargle. That's going to be Gravic Punch. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target player. So that's another really good way for us to, we can even jumpstart it if we have enough mana to deal like 18 damage to our opponent. We're also running Thud, which is a really fun way to go with Yargle. If we can't get that Yargle win, that's always the win condition that we want to go for. But if not, it's simply just a good value deck. We have Doom Whisper at the 5 slot. That's going to allow us to kind of dig deeper into our library. CGN Commander is going to allow us to get those Goblin tokens on the battlefield, and we actually do have a pretty nice amount of Goblins to take advantage of Siege Gang's activated abilities. And then also coming at the 4-drop, Captivating Crew. This is a Singleton format, so using that 4 mana activated ability to gain control of a creature is always a lot of fun. And then Active Treason on the backup side. We do have a heavy sacrifice theme in here, so we have stuff like Severed Strand. Basically, we want to be able to kind of keep recurring creatures out of the graveyard. Also have Reassembling Skeleton. So this deck's really big about, getting creatures down, taking advantage of those creatures on the battlefield, and putting a ton of pressure on our opponent. And yeah, things like Blood Divination. You get down to Reassembling Skeleton, go for Blood Divination, and just really cash in card draw. But other than that, just your standard black-red chaos deck. And I have some wonderful gameplay videos for you coming up, so definitely stick around and watch. I will say this, they took down Singleton off of Magic Arena at the end of the week, and unfortunately I got about 3 or 4 videos into this series and I didn't get to finish it. I recorded the last match, so unfortunately I didn't know they were taking it down so quick, but it's still got some pretty good games for you to watch, so hey, kick it over to the games. Welcome to Red Black Yargle, playing against Jaya. Pretty cool. Excited. Let's see what kind of deck our opponent's playing. But yes, we're playing Red Black Yargle, which is a really interesting deck. And as far as opening hand goes, I love it. We got Reassembling Skeleton. We have some really good card draw with Tormenting Voice and Risk Factor. We will definitely keep on this one. And then we'll see what our opponents. Let's go and lead off with Mountain. Yeah, and then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yes, this is Red Black Yargle. Basically, it's kind of just I got that Red Black deck, and then it's kind of like a discard sacrifice creature deck. And so basically, I just kind of tossed Yargle in there, added a few damage spells, and there we go. Let's have some fun. We're going to discard Reassembling Skeleton because off of Reassembling Skeleton, we can bring it back to the battlefield off of an activation. Ooh, we do draw into Blood Divination, so we've got some wonderful, wonderful card draw in our opening hand. Now, depending on how aggressive our opponent is, if they don't really get down any creatures, Legion Lieutenant, okay. And that's going to be a, let's see, just a Vampire Lord 2/2, and we draw into Ravenous Chupacabra. Let's go ahead and get down Swamp, and I guess at this point right now we can go for Cast Down, which is going to take care of Legion Lieutenant. But if we want to kind of get a little bit ahead on mana, be online for Ravenous Chupacabra, I kind of like getting down Izzet Locket. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go and get down Izzet Locket. Try to go for the long game on this one, and then we'll pass it to our opponent. So it looks like we're playing against black-white vampires, which I think this is going to be one of the first times I've played against black-white vampires in Arena. And there's a really interesting meta here in the Singleton Arena. Like I played against Rat Colony the other day, and it felt like I was playing against Affinity in Modern, because it was just like, next thing you know, it was just like over. I was like, oh. Okay, they got it. So we've got Risk Factor for 4. We've got the Sky March is going to be a 3/4. Now what we can do is we can go for Cast Down on the Legion Lieutenant and get back Reassembling Skeleton. Or if we want to, we can go for Goblin Instigator, and that's going to allow us to go for Blood Divination next turn, which is going to allow us to sacrifice a creature. But it's simply only going to be a 1/1. You know what? Let's go and get down Goblin Instigator. That's going to give us an additional creature on the battlefield. Let's say that we do draw into something like the one Demon of Catastrophes. Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's go and go to combat. We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent, and then we'll wait for them to swing in with the Sky Marcher, and then we'll go for the Cast Down on Legion Lieutenant. That way we'll get rid of that tribal effect, and we'll make it to where she is... I wonder what her base... I guess her base toughness is simply just a 2/3. But that'll be a good option for us to go on Cast Down. And then next turn we can use Ravenous Chupacabra to take care of the Legion Lieutenant. Okay, so they're going to be sitting in Sky Marcher. Let's go ahead and go for Cast Down. I'm going to cast her down out of the sky. Get out of here. Sorry, Sky Marcher. And that's going to... The Legion Lieutenant was not swinging in either, which is going to allow us to kind of dodge some of that combat damage. Let's go and get down Mountain. Now, if we go for risk factor, that will allow us to bring back Reassembling Skeleton out of the graveyard. Yeah, let's try that. Let's go for risk factor. Let's see if our opponent wants to allow us to draw a couple cards. If not, then we're going to get 4 damage, and the next turn we can go for chunking some card out of the graveyard, then going for something like Rise from the Grave if we want to do that. All right, so they're going to take that damage, and then anything else, let's just go and pass the turn. And then we'll go for the Reassembling Skeleton, bring that back out of the graveyard once they decide to swing in. Vampire Sovereign enters the battlefield. Target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Okay. And let's see if they decide to swing in with the Lieutenant or the Gorgon. All right, let's go and bring back Reassembling Skeleton. And then we draw into Swamp. Let's go and get down Swamp. And I guess we'll go and go for Blood Divination. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Let's go and go for Blood Divination, because that's going to allow us to at least kind of sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. We are looking at a 4-5 from next turn, but with Ravenous Chupacabra, I just want to get some sort of card draw going. Well, we can just simply just wait until next turn. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for Ravenous Chupacabra. Let's go and take care of Vampire Sovereign. That would get rid of the flying threat, and the board is just so muddied at this point right now that they just really don't want to swing in. And no, not going to swing in. No attacks from us, and we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. Now, we do have Is It Locket that we can sacrifice for 4 red mana. It's going to allow us to draw a card, a couple cards. So if we do hit 2 more mountains, that will allow us to kind of go for Locket activation. And then at this point right now, if they do decide to swing in, we're just simply going to block, throw Ravenous Chupacabra in front of whatever sort of creature swings in, and then we will be able to kind of reanimate it with Rise from the Grave. Now, at this point right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 total mana, which is actually going to work out perfectly for Doomed Dissenter. So let's go and get down Doomed Dissenter. And then we're going to go for Blood Divination. Sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. That way we can still bring it back. Oh, look at that card draw. Love it. It's going to get down Swamp, and then no attacks from us. We're just going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So at this point right now, with them sitting at 19, we're going to be able to go for Risk Factor again, and then hopefully kind of force them to take that damage. And then eventually, once we do find Yargle, we can go for a couple of those direct damage spells and Yargle our opponent out. Opponent's going to get down Regal Bloodlord. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat token creature with flying. And I love the art on that. It's pretty sick art. All right, so we draw into Murder, which is A-okay with me. So we're looking at Murder on Sanctum Seeker, and then Severed Strands on Reassembling Skeleton. I like that. Yeah, let's go for that. And we're going to do this. There is target creature gains indestructible. I hate to get blown out by that. So let's just go and go for Murder on Regal Bloodlord, because we just want to make sure we do not allow them to gain any sort of life. That's just not going to be good. Let's bring back Reassembling Skeleton. And we're going to go for Severed Strands. We're going to target Sanctum Seeker, and then we're going to sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. Look at how much work Reassembling Skeleton's putting in. There we go. Going to take care of that creature. Once again, that does leave them with a bunch of 2/2s. I guess we will start going swinging in with Ravenous Chupacabra, just getting a little bit extra damage. Yeah, we're okay with that. And if they want to block with either way, we're going to be able to trade. And once they get rid of that last creature, that's going to allow us to kind of start getting some good damage. And then we still have Lightning Strike too, so we can deal 3 damage to any sort of creature that they get down. Renewed Fountain. See, there we go. Glad we took care of the Regal Bloodlord, because that fountain and them gaining that life, that would have been a bat token, which would not have been that good for us. Now, with Lightning Strike in our hand, we can go for Lightning Strike on Inspiring Cleric. But one of the cool things about Rise from the Grave is that it targets any graveyard. So if we actually want to go for Sanctum Seeker, we can. Now, unfortunately, we don't really have any life gain in our deck, so we could go for Regal Bloodlord if we wanted to get a few bat tokens going. But that is a flying threat at a 2/4, so worse things could happen. Let's go and go for Lightning Strike. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for Lightning Strike on Inspiring Cleric. This is good, man. We're just hitting all of our removal. I'm loving this. And then we'll go and go for Plague Crafter. Each player sacrifices a creature. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice Plague Crafter, because that's going to allow us to at least kind of go for Rise from the Grave. If they get down some sort of hexproof creature, who knows. And then Reassembling Skeleton for 2. Let's go and go to combat. And at this point, we're going to go and swing in, still, once again, swing in with Ravenous Chupacabra. Once we get down this last piece of removal, We'll deal that damage, knock them down to 19, and then we'll go on pass turn to our opponent. Once we take care of this last Legion Lieutenant, then we're really going to start swinging in with the crew. We could have swung in with Doom Dissenter. That would have turned it into a 2-2 zombie, so kind of depending on what they... yeah, that's fine. We'll let that resolve. We need to bring back Reassembling Skeleton, too. We could have swung with that, but next turn, depending on what sort of board state they get down, we probably will start swinging in with Doom Dissenter. Let's go and go for Reassembling Skeleton. And then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. So if that's all they're going to do for the turn, and especially go for a card draw activation, I love that because that's going to put us on Rise from the Grave, bringing back Plague Crafter. All right, so we draw into Brawl Bash Ogre. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, let's go from Rise from the Grave. I think I like that. Let's go for Rise from the Grave. We're going to go ahead and target Plague Crafter because we could go for Ravenous Chupacabra, but at this point right now, we're going to choose our graveyard. We're going to go choose Plague Crafter because we're going to sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. I really like getting a 3-2 clock on the battlefield with Plague Crafter. So we're going to go and sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. They're going to sacrifice their Vampire. And let's go ahead and go to combat. We're going to send the whole crew in on this one. It's going to knock them down to 15. And then we're going to go ahead and just get Reassembling Skeleton out. That way we just don't forget about it. We get wrapped up in commentary. We can just pass turn to our opponent. Don't have to worry about anything else. So they will gain some life, but at least at this point right now, we have a wonderful board state developed. You can see how easy it is to utilize Reassembling Skeleton and kind of these sacrificing clauses or these different magic cards that make you want to sacrifice a creature to do something. It's pretty cool. Paladin of Atonement. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you lost a life, put a +1 counter on it. Whenever it dies, you gain life equal to its toughness. Okay, let's go and get down Mountain. And then let's go ahead and go for Risk Factor. Yeah, I like that. We can discard a Brawl Bash Ogre. Yeah, we're okay with that. I doubt they're going to let us draw 3 cards. It's going to put them down to 12, but at least it's going to allow us to start swinging in with some of our creatures too. It's going to be a pretty big chunk of damage. Okay, so I'm going to take that 4. Let's go to attackers. And pretty much we're going to be able to trade with Paladin of Atonement. It's going to knock them all the way down to 3, so they're going to need to get something going on that side of the battlefield before they can, they're just simply left with a 2-2, and we should have more than enough combat damage, hopefully. Fingers crossed to do some damage. Another thing that we can do is if we draw into one of our burn spells, we can deal that damage up top or something. I can't remember the name of it now, but what is it? The Thud. If we draw into Thud or Shock or something like that, that'll definitely allow us to start putting some hurt on our opponent. All right, so we draw into Mountain, which actually not too bad because we can use that for Is It Locket. The only thing is it's going to get rid of all of our red mana. And draw into Barrier of Bones. Okay, let's go and go to combat. We're going to send the whole crew in on this one. And that should be lethal now that I'm looking at it because they're going to have a 2-2 and then nothing has lifelink. So they block on Plague Crafter, they block on Ravenous Chupacabra. That's going to get rid of both of those. They're going to draw a card. Okay. But I think that should be the whole crew. So we're going to send in everybody on this one. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, they block on Plague Crafter, they block on Ravenous Chupacabra. It's still going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be lethal on our opponent. But let's see what they have up their sleeve. Okay, put our opponent all the way down to -2. Good game to our opponent. That was, we drew into a lot of our removal. And that was really nice to be able to basically kind of get some really nice board control. I tried to run it in the Singleton League right before this match, and it was just like, it was really bad. I went like 0-2 really quick, so really happy to start off this one with a win. So I will see you in Game 2. Welcome back to Game 2 of Red Black Yargle. We're playing against Teferi. It's got the incense stick over there. Hopefully it smells good. I'd imagine that Yargle probably doesn't smell good, so that's probably why Teferi has that big incense, because he knows Yargle stinks really bad. We have Devil Swamps, we have Devil Mountains in the head, Cast Down, Goblin Instigator, and Lightning Strike. That is beautiful. We will keep on this one, and we are on the play, which is always nice playing this deck. So we will see if our opponent is playing some sort of control deck with Teferi at the helm, but we're not scared. We'll get down Mountain, and then we're going to pass the turn to our opponent. But if for some reason you skipped ahead in the video, we are playing Red Black Yargle. Let's go ahead and get down Swamp. Let's go ahead and go for a Goblin Instigator. Look how mischievous he looks. I always love goblins in Magic because they just look, I don't know, they're just goofy. I'm glad they exist. My buddy, one of my Magic buddies, Wes, he loves goblins, so I've been kind of throwing together a few decks that he might like to enjoy watching. because he watches my videos from time to time, especially on Arena. So let's go ahead and get down Swamp. Let's get down Mountain. You're okay with that. And let's go ahead and go to Combat. And we did see Swamp, we did see Island, we did see Treasure Map. So it looks like we're probably playing against some sort of control deck. Let's go and swing across all attackers. These goblins are mad. They're definitely mad at Teferi. And we're going to swing across, deal that damage. And then hopefully with us having Lightning Strike in the hand, maybe we draw into something like Browbeat. We might be able to maybe out-aggro them, but we'll see. All right, so they're going to get down Siren Storm Tamer. I need to pick that up for my Sultai deck. And then we can go for Lightning Strike on that if we wanted to. It's simply just going to be a 1/1. They can go for the counterspell. You know what? This may seem a little iffy, but yeah, let's go and go for Cast Down. I like that because it's going to allow us to still basically keep the board clear. They can go for the countered ability if they want to, but either way, we're going to cast it down. And then you just want to basically kind of keep a lot of pressure on our opponent, get their life total down pretty low. All right, so we draw into Reassembling Skeleton. Let's get down Swamp. Let's go and go to Combat first. Send the entire crew in. Got the Goblin Krinko crew. Knock them down to 16, and let's go and go for Rekindling Phoenix. All right, they do have Essence Scatter. That's not the end of the world. All right, so they've got Essence Scatter. We still have Vraska's Contempt in the hand, so we can, whatever sort of creature they do get down, hopefully trying to stabilize, or if it is a Planeswalker, we can still use Vraska's Contempt to kind of get rid of that. And they only have 1 mana up at this point right now. We do have to watch out for Spell Pierce, but we're okay with that. So let's go and go for Vraska's Contempt, exile Thief of Sanity. Man, if you came for some Goblin beatdowns, we've got the game for you. All right, so opponent's going to go for the activation off Treasure Map. And I always love it whenever, like, yeah, let's get the attacks going first. 2 attackers, it's going to knock them down to 14, then we'll pass the turn. So when Goblin Instigator enters the battlefield, he creates a 1/1 red Goblet creature token. So you can see the guy in the background with the sword, whatever the axe, the battle axe. You can see the Goblin token is a battle axe. So I don't know, I always love stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get down Swamp. Let's go ahead and go for Combat. That way we can see if they have some sort of combat interaction. That way we can force them to tap down some of their mana, and then we'll be able to go for Reassembling Skeleton on the back end. Or excuse me, Tormenting Voice, and then discarding Reassembling Skeleton. Knock them down to 12. Let's go and go for Tormenting Voice. And we're going to discard Reassembling Skeleton. That's one of the cool things about this deck is that you utilize Reassembling Skeleton in such a good way. We got double burn off that, which is really good. We did make the land drop for the turn, so let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. So the cool thing about Reassembling Skeleton is that you can activate that at instant speed. So we don't have to do it at sorcery speed or doing it during our turn. We can basically just... if we want to, we can go for Shock on our opponent, put them down to 10, and then go for Lightning Strike, put them down to 7, Goblin Instigator attack. We'll see. Anyway, we've got some good pressure on our opponent, especially if we do draw into Browbeat. That'll be... that's one of the fun things about Browbeat, especially, you know, it's one of those cards that... Not Browbeat, excuse me, Risk Factor. With Risk Factor, you can make them either, you know, take 4 damage, or we can draw 3 cards. And the cool thing about that is once we get their life total down, it just puts them in this really weird predicament of getting their life total down, and then we can draw 3 cards. It's going to allow us to kind of refuel our hand and then start going from there. Our opponent did get their Treasure Map to flip, and they did get a Treasure Cove activated flip, so they can draw a card. And there we go. We do have Teferi coming down. We'll go and let that resolve. We at least do have Shock that we can target Teferi, so depending on what sort of activation they go for, draw a card. And let's go ahead and go for Shock on Teferi. Yeah, I like that. Let's go for Shock on Teferi, and then that puts us on Lightning Strike for next turn. And then we can still go for Reassembling Skeleton. Okay, they are going for Pilfering Imp, which is going to be a 1/1, and then they're going to be able to untap 2 lands off of the Treasure Cove and that. So we do draw the Yargle. Very nice. Let's go to get down Mountain. And I guess at this point... discard a non-land card. So we are sitting at 6 mana. They can force us to go for the activation off Imp if they want to. But I kind of like going for seeing if we can get Lightning Strike to stick. Yeah, let's go for Lightning Strike on Teferi. I like that. Let's go for Lightning Strike on Teferi. And that's still going to give us 2 mana that we can go for Reassembling Skeleton. They might probably have a counter spell, but at least I'm going to force them to have a counter spell at this point. And then we can swing in with the Goblin Instigator, Reassembling Skeleton, and the Goblin. All right, so we're going to take care of Teferi. That is really good. Let's go ahead and swing in. It's going to send all of these creatures in. It's going to be 3 attackers. If they do block, it's going to put. If they don't block, it's going to put them down to 9. But either way, we're going to get them down to 10. And if they want to go for Pilfering Imp, they can see that we have Yargle on the hand, which is actually not that bad of an activation. All right, so we're going to put them all the way down to 9, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So hopefully we don't run out of gas. We do have another card draw spell in here, which I cannot remember the name of it, but it is Blood Divination. There we go. So with Blood Divination, we can sacrifice a creature, and that's going to allow us to draw 3 cards. So we can actually sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton to draw 3 cards to kind of refuel our hand. So hopefully we're not going to get controlled out. I know typically if we're playing against a control deck, which we are, we're playing against Esper, which is a black, blue, white. Sometimes when you play against control, they can kind of basically just stabilize at about 9 or 10 once they get enough value going, enough card draw going. So hopefully we can still keep enough pressure on our opponent. All right, opponent's going to go for Connive and gain control of our Goblin Instigator. Let's go and get down. I guess at this point, we're going to go and hold on to Mountain. Let's go to combat. Send all of the attackers in, 2 attackers. It's going to knock them down to 7, and then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. This deck really does curve out at about 5 mana. So at this point right now, we want to leave a card in our hand for our opponent. Uh-oh. We got Doom Whisperer. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about. So with Doom Whisperer, it's going to be a little bit hard for us to swing in, and at the same... Ooh. Drawn to Risk Factor. Yeah, I like that. Let's go for Risk Factor. See if they want to take that damage or not. And see, this is what makes Arena fun. You know, we're basically kind of playing this like, this is like really weird, almost like a red-black draft deck. But it's just a really fun Magic. I don't know. It's just really fun to kind of have these different interactions, especially having to make our opponent like really think about a risk factor like this, because we do have it on the back end with Mountain discarding this card. Okay, so they're going to take that damage. Let's go for risk factor out of the graveyard, discarding Mountain. So they're basically going to have to allow us to draw 3 cards unless they want to just lose the game. So we'll see. Okay, we're going to draw into 3 cards. Ravenous Chupacabra is a wonderful draw. It's going to get down Mountain. Do we want to push in with the whole crew? We're going to be able to get in for 1. We've already used all of our burn spells. Doom Whisperer is going to eat up 1, and then we'll get rid of Goblin Instigator on their side of the battlefield. And that allows us to go for Ravenous Chupacabra. Yeah, let's do that. Let's swing it with all attackers. I like that. Yeah, we're going to swing it with all attackers. Okay, this is going to leave Doom Whisperer on the battlefield, and then reassembling Skeleton in our graveyard. So next turn, we are looking at least going for Ravenous Chupacabra on Doom Whisperer, and then with Kite Sail, non-creature card. So they're basically going to be able to grab Relic, which is, that's okay, take it. We're not really getting super close to the to getting the City's Blessing, but at least our opponent does know about Ravenous Chupacabra in their hand now, so that might affect the way they play. And they're going Beat Sticks, okay. Got Doom Whisperer coming down. And we're drawn to Ravenous Harpy. Yeah, we've got to go for it. So let's go and go for Ravenous Chupacabra. We're going to go and target Doom Whisperer. And we're going to go for Ravenous Harpy, because that at least puts us in a position to where, at least next turn, that's going to be a 1-2. We can get down Reassembling Skeleton, and depending on how they decide to do blocks, Kite Sail Freebooter does have flying, but if they don't offer up any blocks, we do get into this kind of position to where, pass turn to our opponent, we can get down Reassembling Skeleton. Oh, they're going to go for that. I was about to say, we could basically kind of keep going for 3 mana activations to put a +1 counter on Ravenous Harpy. And our opponent does completely tap out for Price of Fame. And they did leave a card on top of their library, which is good to note. Darkblade Agent. Let's see what Darkblade does. As long as you surveil this turn, it has Death Touch, and whenever it deals combat damage, player draw a card. Alright, drawn to Demon of Catastrophes. Yeah, let's go for Reassembling Skeleton. And let's go and go for Demon of Catastrophes. And we're going to go and sacrifice Reassembling Skeleton. That's going to force them to have some sort of answer for Demon of Catastrophes, because it is a 6/6 with trample. So that's definitely going to allow us to hopefully kind of push past some of these creatures. And at this point right now, with Darkblade Agent sitting at a 2/3, it does us no good to swing in. We're simply just going to lose Ravenous Chupacabra. If we wanted to get into this weird position to where we could swing in with Ravenous Chupacabra and then go from Rise from the Grave, that's something that we could go for. But I at least like having creatures. Oh no, Vraska's Contempt. Okay, it's going to take Demon of Catastrophes, and that 2 life gain is very crucial in this particular one. All right, so we've got 2-3 swinging across. It's going to knock us down to 12, and that's going to bring us into... Yeah, let's go and go to combat. Swinging with Ravenous Chupacabra. And they go for Seal Away. Okay. Okay, that's going to take care of it. Yeah, they're going to get it. That's going to take Ravenous Chupacabra. And let's go and get down... Yeah, let's get down Jaya. That way we can at least go for the +1 ability and kind of start... Because Reassembling Skeletons in the graveyard. So let's go for the +1. And then we'll go for Reassembling Skeleton out of the graveyard. All right, we're going to go pass turn to our opponent. So at this point right now, we were sitting at 12. This kind of puts our opponent in this weird position now to where they need to start swinging in at Jaya, because that's at least going to give us, well, excuse me, unless you've got Binding, they'll definitely be able to take care of it. Now, this is what I'm talking about. When you're playing against a control deck, you think you're going to get their life total down, and then they start to stabilize, which they're definitely doing now. Then we draw into Mountain. Okay, let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're going to hold on to Mountain in the hand. That way, if they do have some sort of hand disruption that they want to go for, they'll at least see that we do have Mountain in the hand, and they'll be forced to use it. Actually, excuse me, we should have blocked with Reassembling Skeleton. We definitely should have gone for Reassembling Skeleton. I apologize. We could bring it back. Yeah, that was a misclick. I just immediately got into the zone. I was looking at my deck list or something. I just said no blocker. So definitely the correct line of play would be block with Reassembling Skeleton, because we have more than enough mana to basically bring back Reassembling Skeleton. Uh-oh. Well, either way, they would have been online for Vraska's Contempt, so wasn't the end of the world. All right, so let's see. So they do get that combat step. They do draw into another card, and they draw into Rise from the Grave. Let's see. Oh, ho, Doom Whisper. Come on, buddy. Yeah, we're going to go for Doom Whisper. I like it. Oh, okay. I thought I clicked on the wrong card for a second. We're going to bring back Doom Whisper. He mad. Doom Whisper mad. It's going to get down Mountain. No, we're going to hold on to it. Yeah, and then we'll just go and pass turn to our opponent. So we've got a 6/6 in the air at this point right now. If we wanted to, we could have gone for the other one. Where is the... Excuse me, no, they got exiled, so we couldn't have gone for that anyway. And so let's see if they're going to swing in or not. Now, what they can do is they can swing in with both. They swing in with Darkblade Agent. That's going to allow them to potentially go for Surveil, and that will give it Death Touch. So at this point right now, they're swinging in for 3. We're not really worried about any sort of direct damage from our opponent. So, and if we block with the Kitesail Freebooter, I guess we could force the issue on that, because I'm not entirely sure. I guess it would be they'd have to have something -5/-5, which I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, let's go and block on Kitesail. We're going to let the Dark Blade go through, because that would be a 2/3 with Death Touch. And if something does happen, we'll basically just kind of... we could also get down Relic, and that allows us to draw some life. Our opponent's going to go for Nexus of Fate. Shuffled into the library. Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. Now, what we may do is we may end up going for a block on Darkblade Agent if they do swing in. Okay, so they're not going to swing in. And is there anything else we can do? Reassembling Skeleton has been exiled. And then we draw to Active... Oh, yeah. Let's go for Active Treason. I like that. We're going to gain control of Darkblade Agent. That should be lethal. Oh, there we go. Let's go to combat. Beautiful game. Let's see if this is going to resolve. Oh, beautiful. We knock out Teferi, Esper control. Good game to our opponent. That was a lot of fun to play. You can see where Arena kind of leads towards these games that are just really interesting Magic gameplay. A lot of back and forth, a lot of swings, and that is exactly what we're going to go for. Hey, we cracked a pack from our daily reward. So, in fact, we'll go over there just to celebrate. Let's crack this real quick and see what we got into. Got into Dried Green Seeker, which is always okay. Got an extra rare card, which is nice. And then we draw into Alpine Moon. It's always good to have that. And we got a common wild card, which is, I'm really oh, and Duress. We've needed a Duress. It would go really good in our deck. But anyway, that was game 2. I will see you in game 3. Welcome back to game 3. You're playing against Jace. Spooky Jace. Jace is like, I see your glowing hand there, Tezzard. I'm going to pull out my blue glowing hands. Haha, I've got 2 of them instead of 1. As far as opening hand goes, ooh, this looks really good. We do not have a red source, though. And we don't have a way to take advantage of Blood Divination, but we've got Doom Whisper in the hand, which is really we're going to keep... Yeah, man, I can't see us mulliganing this one, so we're going to keep on this one. And we're just going to pray to the Magic Gods that we get lucky and hit a few more land drops, and then we can just surveil our life total away. It's always fun. Pay that life total. Okay, let's go lead off with Swamp, and then anything else, we'll kick it back over to our opponent. But yeah, so we've had some fun games so far. That game too, that was that felt pretty good. I was for sure that like once we got their opponent's life total down, I was like, man, they're gonna get it. We're playing against Esper control. They've got answers for everything. Let's go and get down Swamp, and then we're gonna unfortunately have to pass the turn. Once we do hit a red source, we'll be in a pretty good position. We get down Goblin Instigator, and then we go Goblin Instigator Beat Sticks, and then really you saw how good Goblin Instigator was last game. Did some really good work getting our opponent's life total down. But yeah, that was fun. That's what makes Arena fun, is you get some really nice, interesting games like that sometimes. Opponent's going to go for Cruel Harpooner. And there we go. Hit a red source. That is nice. Let's get down Mountain. Yeah, let's go and go for Goblin Instigator. That would just get a few bodies on the battlefield. All right, let's kick the turn over to our opponent. With the Harpooner does have reach. And basically, with the Undergrowth, it enters the battlefield. So basically, it's just a 3/2 with reach. And this is definitely one of my favorite card arts from the set. It reminds me of like an old school Magic card with just kind of got that nice like black and green contrast. So I don't know. I opened it up in my pre-lease, and it was one of those like, yeah, it's some good looking Magic art. Because sometimes you get some goofy looking Magic art, like the Goblin. Like, got dead weight on the Goblin. We still at least got his buddy over here. No blockers. And then that'll at least allow us to go for Blood Divination for next turn, which I think we're good with that. Let's get down Swamp. Let's go and swing in for 1. Yeah, why not? That Goblin wants to swing in. We'll let him swing in before we have to sacrifice him to the Blood Divination gods. Let's go and get down Blood Divination. We'll sacrifice... yep, there we go. Draw 3 cards, and draw to Siege Gang Commander, which is really nice because we can get down Siege Gang Commander and then start throwing some goblins at some of these Golgari people and get some really nice board control. Now, we do have Rise from the Grave in our hand, and we are playing against a graveyard deck from our opponent. So, if they do get some sort of surveil going into the graveyard, dumping some cards into the graveyard, we can definitely utilize Rise from the Grave to bring something back out of our library. Or let's say something happens to Siege Gang Commander. We can sacrifice Siege Gang Commander to his own ability. That's what makes him such a cool card. And then we can bring it back with Rise from the Grave. Let's go and get down Mountain. Yeah, and a lot kind of going for this. Let's get down Siege Gang Commander. And we're going to get those 3 goblins on the battlefield. And look how, can you imagine loading these goblins up in like the little goblin catapult, and they've got the little spikes on there? I don't know. That's just... Goblins within Magic are such a cool little tribe. All right, so next turn we probably will. So that's going to give us, if we hit the land drop, that's going to be 6 mana. So that's going to put us in a position to where we can go for a Siege Gang Commander activation. The only thing is we just can't Siege Gang and go from Rise from the Grave. But just the overwhelming value of going for Siege Gang Commander on our opponent, just kind of blowing them out, I think I kind of like it. Yeah, because we also need to get down Doom Whisperer, but at this point right now, we've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be 12 total damage we can go for off of activations, and especially with us swinging in our opponent, I think that's going to be pretty good. They did get down Path of Discovery, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield, they get to explore, so that's something we do need to keep in mind. It's going to be a good way for them to kind of get their graveyard going. All right, opponent's going to go for Hired Poisoner. And they're going to get the Explorer going too. And that's going to go on top of their library too. It's going to be a 4/4 with Trample. So that will be something that we can actually go ahead and use for Murder. So that we definitely have a slot for that card, especially them getting that down for next turn. Yeah, no blockers. That's going to put us down to 11. Yeah, that's okay. Because we definitely want to start saving some of this damage for up top for our opponent. And then we draw to Demon of Catastrophes. Now, we can go for a Siege Gang Commander activation on Hired Poisoner, and that will allow us to swing in and then still keep Murder online. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to use this ability. Let's go ahead and sacrifice a target creature. Let's go for Hired Poisoner for 2 damage. We're going to toss one of those goblins over there. Love it. All right, we're going to throw the goblin at the Hired Poisoner, and let's go and swing in for combat. Yeah, I like this. All right, so we're going to be able to swing in for 4. It's going to knock him down to 15. And then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. And that will leave us on for Murder once they do get down the troll that's in their hand. Ooh, we got Demon Lord coming down. Okay. We might end up saving Murder for Demon Lord now that I think about it. They get down Demon Lord. Oh, look at that. That's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. And the fact that they get a... They get an extra land card off of that Demon Lord entering the battlefield, too. Yeah, we're going to let that go through. They're going to reveal until they hit a card with 4 or greater. All right, this is going to knock them down to 13. Get down the swamp, and that's going to be Play Crafters, one of the reveals, and then Status Statue. Now, one thing that we can do is we can actually go for Rise from the Grave on Demon Lord. That sounds pretty good. I kind of like the thought of that. We'll see. Either way, we're going to go for Murder on Demon Lord, because that is a 6/6 with Trample. That'd be a good way to get some card advantage, too. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what else they get down. Okay, they're going to be swinging in for the 3. Let's go and go for Murder on Demon Lord. We're going to just shank Demon Lord Bells and Lock real quick. We're going to send him into the graveyard. We get Murder down. They will swing in for 3, which will knock us down to 8. And then we draw 2 Mountain. Let's go and get down Mountain. Yeah, you know what? Let's just kind of play it safe. I kind of like swinging in again. That's going to be 4 damage that we can deal to our opponent. That's going to knock him down to 9. We've got Shock, puts him down to 7. And then 2 more activations. That's going to be 5, puts him down to 3. So I kind of like that. Now, if we get down Rekindling Phoenix, that will give us a flying creature in the air and still allow us to go for an activation and go for Shock. You know what? Let's do that. Let's get down to Rekindling Phoenix. Yeah, that'll be good, because that still allows us to go for Shock on the back end and knock their life total down, and that way it's just going to make it hard for them to kind of really do anything. If they want to swing in for 3 with the Harpooner, they certainly can. That's going to put us down to basically 5, but yeah, I like that. So let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. We've got Shock online, so basically we can target up top. If for some reason they get some sort of crazy power and toughness bonus on the Harpooner, we can do Shock in response to that, but for the most part, Hatchery Spider. Okay, and that's going to be... I think at this point, that's going to be 2 creature cards in the graveyard. Yeah. So we're going to reveal 2. Oh, they actually hit Goreclaw off of that. Nice. Off the Hatchery Spider. All right, so it's going to make it a little bit easier, though. I'm glad we got down Rekindling Phoenix. We do need to find some sort of way to get rid of Hatchery Spider, unfortunately, because it is it does have reach. So if we can draw into some sort of removal spell, that would be good. But we've got ourselves a game on this one. I'm digging this. Okay, no swinging from our opponent. You know, let's go and go for Shock up top. If we draw into Lightning Strike, that's going to make it really easy for us to do this. Okay, so knock him down to 7, and then we draw into Swamp. Let's go and get down Swamp. Now at this point, we go for, let's say that we go for 3 activations, so it'll be 2, 4, 6, and then we get him for 1. Yeah, I think we've got it. Now that I think about it, because they block on the Phoenix, they block on CGN Commander. We get in for 1 more damage. That's going to be 2, 4. Actually, no, that's not going to be exactly just enough. But we can still end up going for Rise from the Grave, which puts him in a really bad position. We can try to go for Tormenting Voice to find some sort of removal spell for Hatchery Spider. Yeah, because basically if we just go for straight up activation on CGN Commander, they'll knock them all the way down to 1. And then we can re-go for next turn. Yeah, let's go for Tormenting Voice. Actually, I kind of like pushing some damage. Our opponent's going to have Playcrafter they can get down. Yeah, I like this a little bit better. All right, let's go to attack. No attackers. We're going to go for CGN Commander activation on one of our goblins. Okay, and then if we get down Doom Whisperer, that's still going to leave us up an activation to go for off of CGN Commander, and that's going to also be a trample, 6/6 with trample. So yeah, let's do that. Let's go get down Doom Whisperer. That way, at least next turn, we know what's the vast majority of what's in their hand is basically just channel, the Troll, Status, and then Playcrafter, and we're in an okay spot to do anything about that. So let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent, and then we'll leave up the CGN Commander activation, and at least next turn, we're going to have a flyer in the air with Doom Whisperer, and then we can still end up going for Rise from the Grave on CGN Commander. Okay, opponent's going to go for destroy target. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, with the statue, I forgot that they can, on the back end, it's destroy target creature. Okay, and we don't really want to, I guess technically we could surveil in response to that. We're not really looking at any sort of hasty option from our opponent. Yeah, let's go and go for that. We'll go for an activation off Doom Whisperer. And let's go and put that into the graveyard. Put Reassembling Skeleton in the graveyard. Let's go for 1 more activation. And we're going to put Mountain in the graveyard, lock it into the graveyard. And let's go for one more activation. It's going to put us all the way down to 2. Ooh, Risk Factor. That's going to be a really good way for us to get some good card draw. But actually, we just need straight up removal. So let's go and dump that into the graveyard. Now, we'll take care of Doom Whisperer. We'll click OK. And if they do end up going for a Plague Crafter, we can actually sacrifice Rekindling Phoenix. And then that's going to give us a 0/1 red elemental that says at the beginning of your upkeep, sack it and return it from the graveyard. So if they try to go for the Plague Crafter line of play, that's going to allow us to get Rekindling Phoenix back on the battlefield next turn. They're just kind of in this weird position where maybe they just don't really want to swing in at this point either. Okay, they're going to swing with the crew. Let's go and declare a blocker. We're going to go Rekindling Phoenix on Harpooner, and then 1 Goblin on the Hatchery Spider. Click 2 blockers. And then none of these have Trample. So we're going to go for Siege Gang activation. We're going to target our opponent for 2. And we're going to sacrifice the Goblin that is blocking on Hatchery Spider. And since Hatchery Spider does not have Trample, that damage will not go through. Okay, so we're going to get the 0/1 Elemental token. Curious to see what this token looks like. That's pretty cool. I like that. Sweet looking. Now, what they can do is they can go for Assassin's... Oh, Assassin's Trophy on that. Nice. Okay. And then, yes, we will definitely search our library for a basic land. We're going to grab ourselves definitely another mountain. And we draw into Chromatic Lantern. You know, let's go for Risk Factor, because either way, they're basically going to have to let us draw 3 cards. And we're going to discard a Chromatic Lantern at this point. Okay, we're going to draw 3 cards. That does give us a Severed Strand, an Explosive Apparatus. And since we do have Rise from the Grave, you know, let's go and go to combat. Yeah, I like this. We're going to swing in with both. 2 attackers. So we're going to make it a 5/3. And let's go and go for Rise from the Grave. Now, we could bring back CGN Commander, but let's go and go for Doom Whisperer, because that's going to allow us to at least kind of keep the Channeler in check. Get the Troll back, and that's going to, yeah, we'll just go and pass the turn to our opponent. So basically, it's going to allow us to chump block. Actually, excuse me. They're going to be able to swing with the Spider. I feel silly now. Okay, sorry, I've been recording all morning, and I just overthought that turn really bad. We probably could have closed that out. I was trying to get cute and use Rise from the Grave on Goblin. That's what it was. I was trying to use it on Goblin Siege Gang Commander, get a few more Goblins and close it out with combat damage, but I think I just overthought it, because basically they can swing in with with both creatures and with the 6/8 Hatchery Spider. We'll probably... Let's see if we can't go for activation off Doom Whisperer, just to kind of, yeah, we're going to use that ability. Good game to our opponent, overthought this one. Opponent's going to get it. They're going to be able to swing in with both of them, and I feel silly about that. We probably could have gotten that game, but unfortunately, fatigue within recording, that does happen sometimes, and you just overthink things sometimes. Anyways, I'll see you in the next game. Welcome back to Game 3. Sorry, oh, Tezzeret versus Tezzeret. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. We both got the hands up. Yeah, sorry about that last game. We probably could have closed it out. Excuse me, no, I think this is Game 4. Been playing a lot of Magic today. Explosive Apparatus is at Locket. That's going to be a red source. Skittering is going to... Yeah, I kind of like this hand. It's real heavy, but got some good mana in here. Some good utility with Explosive Apparatus, so we'll keep on this. But yes, welcome to Game 4. We probably could have closed that game out maybe a little bit differently. I think I just got it stuck in my head that we could somehow deal enough damage. And then basically with Arena, there's no like chess clock. So there's just like a timer, and all of a sudden it kind of forces you into these weird kind of like timing situations where you're trying to think about what are all the different possibilities that I can do to get out from this, and then unfortunately, you just kind of time out yourself, which is not fun. Let's go and get down Swamp. Let's go for Hired Poisoner. We're going to hire him to take care of this Goblin Banneret guy. And then, which reminds me, this is a wonderful card, man. I love this card. It's got the Mentor ability, and then use that activated ability to just get some really nice damage going. We will definitely trade on this one if they decide to swing in. They just go for the activation for fun. I like that. Let's go for Swamp, and let's go for Skittering Surveyor. Yeah, I like that. We'll get down Skittering Surveyor. Skittering Surveyor is basically just in here to, yes, we definitely do, basically find a land, and that's going to be a red source, and that'll be the land drop for next turn. And then, yeah, no tax. Just going to sit back at this point right now and hopefully draw into some of our card draw engine and then take over the game. We get down. Now, we are playing against red-white, so we need to be careful. We do get down Doom Whisperer and start to go for those activations. But yeah, I've had fun playing this deck. It's been some really interesting matches. I still keep talking about that Esper deck that we got going. That felt really good. So at this point right now, we're basically, I'd like to get down Locket, and we get down Cinder Bear. It's basically just kind of a... at least 2 other creatures attack the Creative Soldier. So we can hold off on that. Let's go and get down Locket. Let's go and get down Cinder Barons. And then, yeah, it's going to come into play tapped, and no attacks from us, and then we're going to go kick the turn over to our opponent. So, thankfully, they are missing their land drops, and we are ramping pretty quick. We have Is It Locket down. We're looking at getting down Relic. So, if we can get in a position to where we do get the City's Blessing, we can get that 3 life gain, which does kind of make a difference, especially against an aggro deck like this. And pretty much, if they decide to swing in with anything, we're going to block, but it looks like they will not be going for that. Let's go and get down Mountain. That's going to put us at 1, 2, 5. That's going to put us at 6 total mana. Let's go ahead and go for Relic. I like that. Get down Relic and we'll go for Imp. And then we're just simple. We can go for sacrificing Imp when they go to combat. If I actually do it in a combat step, yeah, let's do that. Let's just go and pass the turn. And excuse me, that needs a black activation. And with the way we did the auto tap, it did that. All right, never mind. All right, we'll pass the turn. I'm still kind of getting used to getting this whole auto tap thing, because auto tap's really nice. It allows you to get down cards really quick, but it kind of puts you in this weird position sometimes to where sometimes if you just get something down and assume that it's going to leave something up, it doesn't. So unfortunately, we're going to miss out on this this activation off Imp, but we'll go for it next turn and see if we can't catch something out of their hand. And we were mainly just going to look for whatever 3-drop they were trying to get down. We still have Rascal's Contempt to kind of exile that card, so that's something we can take care of. Now, one thing that we do need to worry about is going to be Marshal, because the Marshal, that's going to allow them to get a few more tokens on the battlefield. And basically, we don't want them to be able to start generating a ton of tokens. And then let's go ahead and block with the Skittering Surveyor on the Goblin Banneret. All right, so they're going to trade. That's going to leave Marshal on the battlefield. Let's go ahead and get down Swamp. And since we do have the City's Blessing, we got a ton of mana. Let's go ahead and go crack a card just to see if we can't get down some sort of big threat on our opponent. Drawn to Chromatic Lantern. Yeah, let's get down Chromatic Lantern. Let's go to combat. We're going to swing in with 1 Imp, so we've got at least a 17-turn clock established on our opponent. I know they're shaking in their boots. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to go to their instep and then go for the activation. Oh, excuse me, we can only do that as a sorcery speed. So we'll go for that during our turn. Okay, opponent's going to go for Destroy Target Tap Creature, Take Vengeance. Yeah, that's fine. Definitely go for that. Now, the cool thing with Is It Locket is that we may end up cracking Is It Locket to... oh, I meant to do that before we pass the turn, but we got down Demon of Catastrophes, which is still good. Let's go get down Demon of Catastrophes. Yeah, because if we swing in with the Hired Poisoner, yeah, we'll sacrifice that. Because getting a 6/6 with Trample is definitely what we want to be doing. And let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we do have at least 1, 2, 3. We have 3 total mana, or 4 total mana available to us to go for Rascal's Contempt. If not, the next turn we'll probably end up going for Locket, especially with Chromatic Lantern. Simply just drawing into 2 cards. We want to be able to keep up with what our opponent's got going on. Justice Strike deals damage equal to itself. Yeah, that's going to get it. It's going to take a Demon of Catastrophe. He's going to hit himself in the face. And then let's see if they want to swing in with that Marshal. And we'll probably... yeah, let's go and go for Explosive Apparatus. Let's go and throw the grenade over at Marshal. Simply because we probably could hold on to it, but it's one of those we just don't want to let them get any sort of tokens on the... oh, Yargle. He's ready. Yargle's ready. He's got an open board. Let's go, Yargle. Now, one thing that we can do is we can draw into one of our deal damage spells, which would be really nice. So we connect for 9, knock them down, and we have Rascal's Contempt to kind of clear the way for Yargle. And this would be a wonderful way to win with Yargle. Hopefully we do. Fingers crossed. We can get that Yargle win that I've been wanting to get really bad. All right, so we're going to get down War Leader. And then we draw into Doom Dissenter. I'm just going to go for Rascal's Contempt on the War Leader. It's just like playing Infect in Arena. Let's go and go to combat. Let's go 1 attacker. It's going to knock them down to 8, and then let's get down Doom. And then next turn, we'll probably end up going for Locket to see if we can't draw into that spell that deals damage. We've got 2 of them in here. So if we get lucky, we can cast them. 1 costs 4, 1 costs 1. So we're definitely going to try that. Now, they do need to get a creature on the battlefield to stop us from swinging with Yargle. So they have no creature that will give us the coveted Yargle win. And you can cross that off your bingo sheet. But let's see what they get down for the turn. Okay, opponent's going to go for Seal Away. Oh no, it's going to take care of Yargle. That was fun. It was fun while it lasted. And they're going to get down Lava Runner, which does have haste because there's at least 1 or 2 or more instants or sorceries in the graveyard. Now, we do draw into Shock. Let's go and Crack Locket. And draw into Duress and then Blood Divination, which we cannot get down Blood Divination. Let's go for Duress. Let's kind of see what our opponent's got going on in their hand. It's going to be Knight's Pledge, Luminous Bonds. We're looking at a Tali. They're sitting at 4 mana. True Fire Captain, which we definitely know that's going to be coming down. And then Angel of Dawn. I guess at this point right now, let's go and get rid of Luminous Bonds, because if they'd actually end up going for Knight's Pledge on their creature, we can go for Shock in response to that. So we're going to take care of Luminous Bonds. And then since we do have Blood Divination and a creature that can be sacrificed, let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent and then kick it over. Man, I was wanting so bad to go for that Yargle damage. Unfortunately, they do not have... Ooh, okay. That's going to be... That was a nice draw from our opponent. Yeah, we'll go and let that go through. That is a 3-3. Okay, they will be able to start to getting some sort of lifelink going. And let's see if they want to swing in or not. Yeah, we're going to let that go. We're sitting at 25, so we can take this. It's going to put us down to 23, and let's kick it back over to our turn. And draw into Jaya. I guess let's go to combat, because maybe if they block on Doom to Center with the Angel, we've got Shocks. We'll just leave it up to our opponent if they want to do that. So let's swing it with Doom to Center. Okay, nope. Yeah, they can smell that from a mile away. Let's go and get down. Yeah, since it does have it doesn't have lifelink, so let's go ahead and get down Jaya. That's going to be 5 mana. Yeah, I like this. We get down Jaya, and then we can go for plus up on her. Add that triple red mana to our mana pool, and then we'll tap Swamp down. Let's go for Blood Divination on Doom to Center. Either way, this has been a really sweet interaction so far. I get the 2/2 zombie, and then we draw into Siege Gang Commander and Reassembling Skeleton. That still gives us access to Shock. Anything else? No. Let's go and pass turn to our opponent. Now, that did refuel our hand with that Blood Divination, so what we can do is we can actually go for the +1 on Jaya for next turn. That's going to allow us to draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards, and especially with Reassembling Skeleton. Yeah, Pride Mage, that's fine. We need to make sure they don't gain any sort of life. They do have the 5 mana activation they can go for off the Angel, but let's see if they decide to swing in or not. I'm going to go for Knight's Pledge. Yeah, let's go and go for Shock in response to that. There we go. So we're going to get rid of that Knight's Pledge, and it's basically just going to leave the Angel on the battlefield, which is going to leave us with the opportunity of leaving Jay on the battlefield also. Okay, draw into Swamp. Let's go ahead and, so since we do have Siege Gang Commander, we don't really have any spells we need to cast. Let's go for Jaya's activation. And let's get rid of Tormenting Voice and then Reassembling Skeleton, because we do want to make the land drop. And draw into Active Treason and then Murder. Okay. Let's get down Swamp. So let's see, how can we do this? We don't really have any way to sacrifice anything. So we get down Respondent Angel. Yeah, and then we can go for Siege Gang next turn? Yeah, I like that. So let's go for Active Treason on Angel. Yeah, I like that. All right, so we're going to go for Active Treason. We got the Angel. Let's go to combat. We're going to swing 2 in. Nothing feels better than... So we get into our opponent. We'll see if they want to go for a Johnny's Pride Made block. That will be 5. That puts them all the way down to 2. So I would assume that they would probably need to block on the zombie token. Okay, and that does leave us Murder and Reassembling Skeleton out of the graveyard. Or if we simply just want to tap out for Siege Gang Commander. Yeah, let's do that. Because that's going to force them to do something. So we'll get down Siege Gang Commander, get those 2 goblins going, and that's going to keep us online for murder for next turn. We can clear the way and swing in and deal combat damage, or we can simply just go for, we have 8, we can go for 4 activations off Siege Gang Commander to deal that damage to our opponent. In fact, let's do that. Let's just do the Goblin way. Yes, we're going to use that ability. Target our opponent, sacrifice a Goblin. All right, there we go. So we're going to be chunking goblins in our opponent. That will, thankfully, we made up for that last game where maybe we could have won, and try not to let it get to me, but sometimes it does happen. Anyway, we took the game on that one, and I will see you in the next game.